Welcome to another Doe's Fun with TAC Phones. This one is episode 4, remoting a Vox radio. What is a radio wireline interface? It's basically remoting a radio over wires. This gives you the ability to place a radio in one location and have an operator access that radio remotely from another location. The military has been doing this for years and has been using everything from a device called a Gray 6 to a Gray 39 to HYX 57s to some other even more high-tech stuff that we use to thousands of miles to access radios. And the next question is, why do you want to do this? Well, this basically would be a situation in what I'm looking at, this small application, where you would have a situation where you were, say, in a basement or in a building or in an area where you're not going to get good radio coverage because of the buildings, the terrain. Basically, you're not going to be able to talk on the radio, but you need to. Basically, this would allow you to take and place the radio and the remoting device in a good coverage location, run field wire back or use existing in-place wiring, and then connect up and be able to access and use that radio to make transmissions and receive transmissions on the radios. Basically, what I decided to do with is use a Vox radio. Vox radio is very handy. They're out there a lot, and this is probably one of the easiest ways to do it. And this is a quick diagram here of what I did. Basically, we have a 312, which was basically on the remote end. We have some 2-wire field wire, actually WD1, in place between that phone and then another phone, which is called the local phone. The local phone has an adaptive cable that locks onto the external handset, which allows us to plug in a Midland GXT radio. I chose the Midland radio because they had a separate ear plug jack and an extra microphone jack versus some of the other ones which have a single plug that does everything. Basically, then by setting the Midland radio to Vox, anytime you picked up and talked on that phone and it saw activity, it would key the radio. I had to do some playing with and messing with to get the Vox level set correctly. Additionally, you could use this with any radio that has Vox and these two plugs on it. I plan to do some more work in the future. I'll look at doing one that has a single plug. To start with, this is what we're going to go with. So this is basically how it works. This next diagram goes into more detail of exactly what I did to make this operable. Basically, it has a TA-312 at the top of the diagram. The red dotted arrow indicates the external connector plug where we plugged our interface cable in. The interface cable has a U161 connector on one end and two plugs basically on a pigtail on the other end. It uses 4 wires. There's 2 wires that are used to operate the speaker audio, and those both connect to a 3.5 millimeter plug. Also, then there's 2 wires that operate the microphone side. These connect to a 2.5 millimeter size plug. I had to insert a 56 k ohm resistor on the tip of the microphone plug because I was getting a lot of squealing feedback because I think I was overdriving the actual audio system in the radio. Eventually what I want to do is I want to sit down and do some research on it, and it'd probably be best to build either some type of an impedance matching network using a small transformer or possibly some type of a pad or an attenuator bridge to put in there with a capacitor to keep that from happening. But this is basically what I have. It was very easy to build, and I put it together I think in about an hour or so. My goal on this was to, as I said before, something easily available, TA-312s. The actual wire I used to connect to the actual plugs is a silver satin phone cord I had, and then I used a scrap piece of Cat 5. So, it's very easy to do. We could debate over and over. There's different ways to do this. Eventually, I want to put another one together. I have an actual Gray 6 system, which was used by the military to remote radio equipment. We'll get that one out, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about the actual remoting and some of the stuff involved. But this is basically put together to do something quick, down and dirty, so you could have this capability to actually put your radio where you had better coverage at, and then remote it back to the area you want to use it from. This is the basic test setup we're going to use here to prove our radio wire line interface out. I'm basically going to use a 312, talking to another TA-312, over approximately, it says on the label, a kilometer. I don't know if there's a kilometer field wire left on here or not, but for our sake we're going to say it's a kilometer. Give and take, let's say 100 yards or so. Additionally, we have this adapter cable which I made. It's a little primitive. This is our first cable. This will plug into the radio. The big 3.5 millimeter connector will plug into the earphone jack, and the smaller 2.5 millimeter will plug into the microphone jack. I chose these Midland GXT handheld radios because they do have a Vox function. You can also set the level on the Vox, the sensitivity on. And also they have individual plugs for the ear solar speaker to come out and the microphone to go in. So basically these function by, we'll go ahead and we'll set this up. The small plug plugs in here to the small one like that, and the large one plugs in the big one like that. We'll go ahead and we'll turn it on. It's set for Vox. Most of my testing that I've done, I've left it on the micro or the audio volume on full, so it sounds good inside here. And then basically you have to take this handset off hook, set it down there. Now the system's ready to use. To use it, we'll turn this radio on. This will represent somebody out, say in the field or out doing something that's not where you're at that you want to talk to on the radio. And you can pick up the handset and you can key the radio. Test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Test out. That's the transmit going out. Now we'll go the other way. Let's say this person's not going to call back and talk to you. They're going to talk on their radio. We're going to go RF between this handset, or this radio, and that radio, through the 312, and then end up with this other 312. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's basically an idea how it works. I have done some checking, and most of the foreign field phones that I checked previously in another episode of Fun with Tactical Phones, the Polish and the Yugoslav phones, and the Dutch and Norwegian field phones will actually work with this. So if you were to replace this phone with one of those phones, it actually will still operate and work. And that's basically how it works. Once again, thanks for watching. This was episode 4 of Doe's Fun with Tac Phones, remoting a Vox radio. If you have any comments or questions, please send them to the email listed on this